Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist and continuing with the topic of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by this lunatic dictator Vladimir Putin. Now, several things to unpack here. Before I go on, people were wondering, how is it that you knew people would be going after gas and money and ATMs would run dry? That was the most obvious thing whenever you're looking at a country that may or may not be invaded, but it is a very real possibility in a matter of not only days but hours. Of course, the three things you want to have is a go bag with your stuff, gasoline, and money, because those things will run out very fast. Folks that are surprised by that, you really should start preparing more in that regard for people in this kind of situation. Unfortunately, survival skills would be extremely useful for people in other parts of the world that are gonna be going through this very soon, surviving the economic collapse. And if people had bought this last book by 2014, you would have left Ukraine way before this started hitting you. So guys, these three are my books. You have the links there below. If you're interested in survival and preparedness, which is, I suppose, why you're watching this channel, you definitely should check those out, because we are yet again in one of these moments where preparedness does make a difference. If you had been prepared, you probably would have left when, way before it got to this point. And it helps. Any amount of preparedness helps, no matter where you are and no matter what time it is. Of course, the sooner you get involved in this, the more likely you are to make smart, calculated decisions. But anyway, let's get to the topic of this video. You have the total failure, let's be absolutely clear, total, absolute failure of not only the United States, but the rest of the world leaders of the Western civilization that just look away and, okay, that's too bad. Stopping a madman dictator taking over peaceful nations, that is not something we're all that interested in. The idea of the United States being a beacon of freedom and liberty in the world, that is just a sad joke at this point. Not only is there no intention to getting involved, which I want to be absolutely clear, I think that not just the United States should be involved. I think that the entire world should have been involved from day one. And day one was 2014, or even before that, when this lunatic started invading nations around him. I want to make that absolutely clear. It's not just the United States. Everyone that wants to live in peace and liberty in this world should have been involved and stopped this man in his tracks from day one. Why is it that they didn't do it? Well, because something that people are also pointing out is that, hey, what about the World Economic Forum? What about the elite? This man is part of such elite. Why is it that you think that Joe Biden did an announcement yesterday about how he's going to be doing absolutely nothing? I mean, of course, he's not going to be sending any kind of troops because he does not want to get involved in a war with Russia. Not only that, he announced very firmly and decisively that he was not going to be doing any kind of sanctions either. The strong, firm sanctions are not directed at Vladimir Putin himself or any of his financial interests, or actually anything that would cripple in any way Russia. This has been done before. In 2014, these supposedly crippling sanctions were already in place for years, and they achieved absolutely nothing. It is pathetic that the President of the United States could not even say they would take Vladimir Putin's bank account. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you and I would suffer in a matter of seconds, even by mistake. It happens all the time. People see it, what the fuck, my account was frozen? Why? Oh no, there was a mistake with something, or no, you need to fill up this or that. Okay, but you invade a damn country and slaughter people and you don't get your account seized? What the fuck? What is going on? Why is it that they're so afraid of not just taking military action, but even taking this guy's money? He still has his accounts not affected. They don't even take the measures so as to freeze them out of this SWIFT banking system. This means that Russia keeps freely operating as absolutely normal. There's nothing being done, and not even the most basic essential thing of, okay, we're going to be seizing his accounts. No, they've talked with him. What do you think is going on in those conversations that they keep having with him? They keep talking with him and reassuring that, don't worry, as you invade, we're not going to be taking your money. Why? Because he is part of this elite. He is part of the World Economic Forum. That's why this man and the guy in China are some of the more notable key speakers during these events, right? And the West just looks at it and says, this is just business as usual. Meanwhile, we're going to be pretending to give a damn and still selling more military contracts. The stock of the companies that own the manufacturers of weapons are just going through the roof, of course, and doing nicely, but without any intention of actually using anything so as to stop this brutal attack on Ukraine, right? And I mean, it gets to the point is they're not seizing Vladimir Putin's accounts. They're not even taking the money from the real oligarchs, like this guy, the owner of the club of Chelsea. For those of you that don't know, one of the biggest nests of Russian oligarchs is UK. They have lots of Russian oligarch billionaires, and they buy football clubs. They have their assets over there, and none of that is being touched. They're not, and they walk around the street parading themselves. These are the guys that have the money killing people in Ukraine right now, and they don't even take the guys' money. They don't even take their assets. They do absolutely nothing. Okay. It is really shameful. I mean, we've reached a point of decadence in the West where I want to make this absolutely clear. Everyone should have been involved from day one. This should not have been allowed to happen. If this man had seen that the world would not put up with his bullshit, he wouldn't have even dared attack. And right now, if he saw everyone going after him, he would retreat like the dog he is back to his hole. That's the only, and you know what country needs liberation? Russia needs being liberated from this dictator after 20 years. You know who's doing nothing? The entire Western civilization is doing nothing. You know who is shamefully banning people like myself from doing videos? Things like YouTube, but at the meantime, they're still allowing this genocide maniac having his channel like Russian TV and just doing nothing. They allow his propaganda to still... What the fuck, YouTube? How is it that channels like mine get hit all the damn time, but Russian TV is allowed to just keep on with their fake news, with their false information, with their hateful propaganda, and you do nothing? How is that possible? How is it possible that this man is allowed to operate in YouTube, but I have to walk carefully if I use the wrong pronouns and all that bullshit? Look at what's happening. It is insane. It's insane. And you know what? For people that think, oh no, this is just an excuse from the West. Well, you know what? At some level, it is going to be an excuse because the inflation you're going to be suffering was already taking place. Again, I've done videos of this before. I've talked about how inflation is already 2-3 times the official number. So the inflation is already there. This is going to be used as an excuse to skin you alive with inflation, and the inflation is a way in which the elite transfers money from your pocket to theirs, and you really cannot do anything about it. It's a penalty for not having enough money and being part of the elite. That's basically what inflation is. It's one of the things that has destroyed economies all over the world. In places like my own country in Argentina, it's been something that has crippled the entire nation for from years and years. And it's something that you guys in the United States are seeing already, and you've seen nothing yet. Believe me, you've just seen barely the tip of the iceberg. You don't know what having year by year 25... I mean, you're already seeing what 1 year of 25 inflation is doing. Imagine this 10 years in a row. It just destroys you. You become poorer and poorer each passing year, and they become richer and richer. And by they, I include this man right here. You think he's not part of this? Are you nuts? Do you know what kind of money this man has? Do you know the kind of money that you have to have so as to have the president of the United States shitting his diaper, because I assume that's the thing he wears, before when reporters ask, okay, are you seizing his personal account? No, we're not going to be doing that. No, please, Vladimir, we're not taking your money. Relax. No, SWIFT? No, we're not missing. In Europe, the same thing. European leaders, disgustingly hiding and just taking this man's money and watching as your neighbor is being slaughtered. It is shameful. It really is. But guys, we're gonna be suffering this all over. We're gonna be suffering the actions of a madman, and we're gonna be suffering the complicity of this very wealthy madman and his buddies all over the world. This is something that they've talked about. What do you think they were talking about when meeting with Germany, with France, with the United States? What do you think they were talking about? They knew this was going to be happening. Of course, they knew it. They said it. I mean, I honestly did not think it would get to this point. I thought that he would just take half of this, create like a buffer, which is, his supposed fear of, the West is advancing. Who is advancing on what? Donbass, Crimea, Moldova, all of this has already, Georgia taken by him as well. I mean, who is advancing and increasing his territory year by year? It is Russia. It is not the other states. So what is likely to happen? You're going to be suffering the economic consequences of this wherever you are. And if you are, of course, in Ukraine, well, it's already settled what's going on there. But for the rest of the Eastern European countries, watch out, because if you are allowed to take over this, why not keep on moving? I mean, he already has Belarus. This is not. This is part of Russia. This is what he wants to create in Ukraine. He wants to have his puppet like the one he had before 2014 that was kicked out of the country, because Ukrainians do not want this crap. Ukrainians want to be like these guys over here. They want to be like Poland. They want to be like the countries that say, we have our problems, but at least we don't have a fucking dictator ruling over us. If you think that Russia is a free country or an advanced and prosperous society, you are nuts. You're a damn fool, and you don't know the fear that people here live under. Watch the protests in Russia, how they barely hold a sign protesting no war, and they're being dragged. They don't even fight because they know what happens to them if they do. They hold a little sign saying no war, stop, please, and they're dragged away. Do you really want to live that way? Do you really want to have this brutal dictator as your president? Not a president, as your dictator. You're not changing him. That's what dictators do. They stay in power for fucking 20 years. He's not a president of anything. He's the dictator of Russia, now taking over Ukraine. And he already rules over Belarus, and these nations right here, I don't know. This nation right here, NATO, will he dare? I mean, the elite is really clear about, we don't care. I mean, keep on doing what you do, and as long as we agree on your next move, we're good. We're fine, Vlad. Keep on doing your thing. So, will he move on to, and if he doesn't move on NATO countries, well, that was even more of proof that Ukraine should have been part of NATO all along, which, by the way, is what was promised to them. When they gave up their nuclear weapons, years and years ago, Ukraine had nukes, and with nukes, they would dare mess with you. They gave up their nukes because the West said, we'll have your back. Screw that, we don't have your back, now you don't have your nukes, and you're screwed. But that was the agreement that was made. We give up our nukes, and you assure that we have, you have our backs. And that didn't happen, and it's been over a decade that they've been begging to join NATO, and that has not happened. Now and let's see what happens, because if this man thinks, hey, I took already one country, why not another one? I took a country in a matter of hours, really, and they'll keep on fighting. I really have hopes for people in Ukraine, but it's shameful that they have to. And, people think, oh, war is about money. Yes, of course, war is always about making money, but you have just wars, and you have completely insane, stupid ones, like bombing a farmer that has a couple mules and a bag full of fertilizer. No, he's not bombing anyone. He lives in the middle of damn Afghanistan in a farm. He barely makes ends meet. He barely has enough food to eat. You drop a bomb on him with a drone that's worth several $1 million on a man that makes less than $100 a year. You're just justifying your military expense. That's really what's going on here. Now, in this case, you do have a dictator attacking a peaceful nation. So this would be one of the examples in which, yes, you do want to use those fucking planes that you have, those bombs, those guns, those professional soldiers that are supposed to be used for this kind of thing. Yes, in this case, you come to the aid of the peaceful nation that's being attacked because you want to live in a peaceful world. And if you were attacked, you would definitely want to have that same backup from other like-minded societies. Anyway, guys, that's at least my take. Let me know what you think, and please do prepare because things are going to be getting ugly all over the world, not just Ukraine. See you on the next video. Take care.